Okay. Hi, Rajesh. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Welcome to the Lightworkers. You are our first guest, and
Okay.
yes, and this show is something that I created thinking of all the healers and all the light workers out there and the kind of work they do, just to get an introduction about their work and also for the world to know the amazing work that all of us are putting in for healing and for helping people and just just the dedication to the work that all the healers have. So this show is basically about that, to know different healers and to know the kind of work they do, and just for people to get the information. So let's start. And I would like you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about the kind of modalities and healing avenues that you've explored. And yeah, let's start from there.
I've been an artist primarily. I've been a theater person um,
Mm-hmm.
all of my life, and the healing aspect professionally just took up. I just took it up only last year. Although I've been practicing Reiki for 12 years, it was mostly so my modality is Reiki and Reiki and energy healing. Uh, yeah, although I've been doing it for more than a decade, it was purely through word of mouth and for just people who knew me and their friends. It was very low key, the whole experience. But since last year, yeah, it's picked up. Ever since I claimed that space.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey from theater to healing and how that bridge was created?
I think always that the seed of I would call it that seed of spirituality was always there.
Wow.
And when I got into the theater I experienced was a very difficult space, you know, a space of very big egos and a lot of toxic cultures within the artistic community. Right? And then, but I was always looking for a theater which would connect. I didn't know it in those words, but I was looking for a more kinder theater. And then I stumbled to a form called playback theater way back in 2000. And there I learned empathy, that empathy could exist in the theater, kindness could exist, people's stories, people did really matter. So ever since then, since 2000, I think last 24 years especially, I've been on a journey where I've been bridging the heart and the art. Okay,
Mm.
and so people have been finding that process very healing, you know.
Wow.
So and Reiki happened 12 years ago. So simultaneously, that also became really, really strong.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that has been my journey typically.
Wow. So when you said you know theater and spaces having that toxic culture, so did that propel you towards healing or finding that healing space for yourself, or like how did you get into Reiki after that?
So Reiki happened much later. Reiki happened when I got divorced, and for a year I struggled. So I had heard about Reiki when I was 21, okay, and I found very fascinating. I'm talking in the early 90s, mid 90s. And I was like, wow, this sounds so exciting. I really want to learn. But it took me 18 years before I actually learned it. And at that point of time, I was in the doldrums. I was like in a very bad place. A good friend happened to tell me, I think you need to learn Reiki. And I will never, I'll never forget her because of what she said, it really pulled me out of that depressive state that I was in. So in a very short time, just 3 months, and then I realized, oh, this is a phenomenal tool. There's so much you can do with it. So yeah, that's how I sort of started off.
So, can you tell us about how it actually got you out of that depression, like that depression or that state that you were in? Because I think people will love to know more about Reiki and the transformative effects it has.
So the key thing about Reiki is the daily practice. You spend about 20 minutes to 40 minutes healing your entire body, all the chakras. I just did that. See, today I do Reiki twice a day, but those days I didn't know. I just would do just once a day. Okay, and little by little, I was very punctual with it. I was on it. I could find that, like for example, let us say if I was having a bad day, and if I did Reiki after that, my usual go-to would be to sleep or to suppress it or to push it out or do or distract myself, all of that. But when I did Reiki, I found that it was easier to deal with it. I found that somewhere there was a resourcefulness in me which lifted me up from that. So earlier the issue was weighing me down. If this was the issue and it was weighing me down, I found a kind of a balance, and where my resourcefulness became larger than it. And then I said, yeah, I'm feeling better. You know, so those 3 months, little by little, I could see that I was feeling better. I was feeling upbeat. There were things that I wanted to do. Because, earlier, that motivation, that mojo had died out.
Mm.
Because of the severe sadness that one is. So that's all I did. Just a daily practice, nothing else. At that point, I was not in any form of therapy. At that, I was in therapy earlier. That not helped me. But at this point, when I was doing Reiki, I was not indulging in or part of any therapeutic process. Just Reiki. And in 3 months, I just found like, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good to go. It seemed like a lot of tick marks were ticked off, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is it. And I never went back to that state, which is amazing. Okay, I never went back to that feeling of absolute no hope kind of a zone.
Mm. But Rajesh, you said that I simply, practice it every day. And I know with a lot of healing modalities, consistency is the main issue, right? Because, we we are we all get into a practice, but somehow we lose, touch, or we get so engrossed in all the tensions of the world that, we're not able to do that. And as you said, that's the key. So uh, being in that state and being able to do that practice for 3 months, how difficult was it? And like, did you really have to push yourself, or was it easy for you to?
So what was happening was I was going into a very downward spiral. Okay, and that is not something that I'm accustomed to as a person. My go-to space is a more cheerful space. Okay, but here all the tools that I had, even my theater was had failed me. Okay, because theater can shift minds. Theater can create an amazing, a positive shift. All that was short-lived. So for me, I was like, if I don't do something drastic with my life right now, I think I'm going to lose it all. You know.
Mm,
And when Reiki came, it was like, so like a drowning man gets one
yeah.
steak, a piece of wood or something. So for me, it was that. And
Wow.
I had this innate belief that this, if anything can help save me, it is this. And since I'm not somebody who, what's the word for it? So I don't do multiple things. So even if there are multiple exciting modalities, I rather focus on one and go deep, deep,
Mm,
deep, deep into that, and and that helps me. Whereas I know I have a lot of good friends, and I think you also, right? I mean, you learn so many modalities. It's amazing. I mean, like I'm in awe when I said like, wow, how do you do that? I can't.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like one, two, those sort of things, and then anything additional which sort of supports this journey. Uh,
Mm,
yeah. So because I was in such a desperate place, it was very easy to do it, and I could see the
mm,
difference. I could see the difference.
yeah.
I could see instantaneously. There was a like, oh, okay, I can breathe better now. I'm feeling better now. Okay, I can get up from my bed. I can
Wow.
step out. So those were like huge tick marks for me. So it wasn't difficult. It was easy.
And you said that you had this belief, right? So I want to know, how important is faith in your life? Just general faith since you were a kid, like, what role has it played in your life?
Tremendous. Okay. So for me personally, faith has been tremendous. I'm a believer. Okay, so so there's two ways to approach a situation, right? To say that, okay, let me see the evidence and then I will believe. But I know before the evidence is seen, if intuitively I know, okay, this is it. Okay, but I think I want to tell you the story. The first time I really saw something larger than me, you know, I was 9 years old. My father had just passed away. So the final cremation, the rites, the final rites were being performed, not the cremation, post cremation. And so this was in my most beautiful place in Kerala. That's where I'm from. It's a tongue of land between a stream and the sea. Okay, a beautiful, beautiful place. So I'm watching all of this. I'm watching the entire village gather over there. I'm watching all this, the ceremony happening. I'm also aware that somewhere my mother is completely eliminated from this, right? I mean, Hinduism, the darker side is that women don't have a say in it, right? So she's somewhere inside, away from all of this. And then finally, it was time to offer it to the crows. And these are like sea crows, the sea ravens, jet black guys. These are the guys, like if you have a puppet in your hand, one will come, chuck, take it, another one will come and take it from the other one. So very swift, sleek predators. So this offering is made, the final offering to the ancestors, to my father. So it's a ball of rice with a lot of banana pieces, a lot of sweets, jaggery, all of that. So they asked me to go place it a little away. So I go and place it a little away, and the sky is filled with crows. I can see, and none of the crows are coming. They're all just going and just staying over there. So then again they asked, they said, no, no, take it and place a little more further away. So I went and placed a little more further away and came back. Still the crows are not coming. So my grand uncle was there and he said, you know what, I think my brother liked me the most. I think he would want me to do it. And he said, please move away. And people get even more arc. And then he took this thing and he went ahead and placed as furthermost as he could. The crows were still watching. Now people start panicking. What is happening? Because that is a completion of this particular thing. And suddenly the Pandit realized, remember, hey, where's this boy's mother? Okay. And then they called her. And she was very weak. She was very frail. She was, in fact, she had to be hospitalized after that and all that. Emotionally, she was very distraught. So she came, and I remember her sort of just lifting it and just sort of dropping it a few centimeters. That's it. Within seconds, the crows just came.
Wow.
For me, when I saw that, it was like, I feel like this was like, this we used to have the 70 cinema screen, the full screen movie. I was like, wow. And it just struck me as a 9-year-old that there is a far greater, higher force than one can imagine. And that force is far more kinder than we can imagine. So for me, that was my aha moment.
Wow. And what kind of faith did that instill in you, that that I always have somebody like that, like
Yeah,
this power is.
the belief that there is a larger force, that there's a larger energy, that there is a larger, whatever we want to call it, that
Mm-hmm.
it is there. However, so that is my personal journey. However, I have realized that in Reiki especially, my client doesn't need to have faith in it. My client doesn't need to even believe in it. My
Wow.
client just needs to sign up for it and say, okay, I'm doing it. I don't know. I don't. Maybe it could be an atheist also. It does not matter. Reiki bypasses all of that. And I've also seen how, if as a practitioner, even if the practitioner is a non-believer, okay, Reiki will still work.
Mm.
It does
Wow.
not depend on one's faith or belief. It does its
Yeah,
job.
so that was one of my questions. So does Reiki work for people who don't believe in it? And you just answered that. So even the
Absolutely.
practitioner, that's new for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. 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 It's basically, what it says is that your puny brain, your logic, give it a chill pill. I'll bypass it,
Yeah.
like a highway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's so fascinating.
This is very interesting because a lot of people come and ask about, whenever they're asking about healing, there's so much analysis paralysis happening, right? Where they just want to know everything. And so I would like you to tell me about, the maybe the divine process of this healing, or maybe how it works, just for people to also understand, what happens, because for the curious people out there. But I do know that they don't really need to believe in it for it to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happens? Like somebody comes to you and they don't believe in it, but they're in, say, a lot of pain, or they want some Reiki. And so what really happens?
So fundamentally, I'm looking at what their issue is, and usually no two people have the same issues. Okay, it's always the first thing, and I really can't guarantee anybody that what will happen, because it varies from person to person. So what happens
And
is
why that, Rajesh?
huh?
Why does it vary? I mean, when we say we don't really
No
can't
idea.
guarantee, there's so many things.
No idea. Could be that person's own karmic journey. See,
Yes.
because what Reiki does is Reiki works for the highest good of that individual. And this is something so I'm very transparent with people. See, for example, if somebody is suffering from a certain pain, okay, and if that pain is necessary for that person's eventual growth in this lifetime, okay, and without that pain, if that person is not going to grow, then Reiki will not remove that pain.
Mm-hmm.
Reiki is only going to work in alignment with that person's life journey, that soul's life journey. You know? So it works at the core issue. So which is why there's so much of discrepancy or variation. So we can never predict what will happen.
Yeah, yeah. And then, Rajesh, can everyone be helped? Whoever comes to you, like, what's the extent and what?
To
Yeah.
answer that, so there are two answers to this question. Okay, one universal answer is all stories, all wounds, all issues can be healed. There is nothing that is, oh, this is so big, it can never be healed. No, it can, with the right person, with the right modality, it can be healed. Can I heal everyone? No, because for the simple reason that all modalities don't work for everyone.
Mm.
You know, so for someone, Reiki may be the go-to modality. For somebody, it could be pranic healing, or maybe bark flower therapy, or maybe a conventional clinical counseling, or so we cannot say. So in that sense. All modalities don't work. So I don't claim to heal everyone. No.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
what I
then
do is
in
I
your,
do a trial. I do a very
Mhm.
short trial to see how is this going, and then I move forward. Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
No, no. So what is the trial? Like an example?
Yeah, like for example, I do. For me, my go-to space is the basic candle healing.
Mm.
So I say let's do a week of this, and if you
Mm.
find that there's a shift, then we can look at more rigorous Reiki.
So, Rajesh, why don't we get into the depth of the different kinds of Reiki that you do? So, one, I mean, that which I am also aware of is the distance healing Reiki that, people send, maybe the 21 days. That's what I've heard about. But you also do candle Reiki. So, do you want to tell us more about what candle Reiki is? What's the importance of candles in it?
So that's a very advanced healing modality that you typically learn when you cross this level called level 3A. That is a master healer position. Okay. I got a booklet when I finished the course. And in that booklet, there was one small paragraph. It said Reiki can healing, and one small paragraph. I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And I did not know a single Reiki practitioner was practicing this modality. Okay. So there was a shortage of those booklets in that course, the Reiki course I was doing. So the Reiki master told me, I'll give you yours a little later. I think. So I just had a glimpse of that, and I gave it booklet, gave it back to somebody else. And when I came back, I was so caught up with this aspect. I said, this is amazing. Let me try this. And I would jog my memory and say, what did that book say? And I knew it says a lot of things, but what I remembered was something, and I practiced it. Okay. And it has developed over the last 6 years now. Okay, it has developed into something else. And it's only very recently that I had access to that booklet again. Okay. And when I read that booklet, it talks about something completely different.
Oh.
So what I'm practicing is something very intuitive. And I'm
Oh.
like, how could I have made this thing? Because this is something else altogether. Okay. So yeah, so maybe what I'm doing is something very unique, but it works because I find
Mm-hmm.
that energy very soothing. And people who have had issues for 30, 35 years are finding 3 days of healing and saying, "Oh, I'm feeling much better," or the pain reducing. It's very dramatic and it's very very
Yeah.
yeah. And see, that's the beauty about energy healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to waste time. We don't have to spend 3, 4, 5 years and then maybe you will think, or that is all bullshit.
Mm. Yeah.
Change can happen like this. Why are you and I indulging in energy healing with so many modalities and all of this? Because it is giving results to people.
Oh.
Why? And one more thing, let me tell you, Anisha, is that the person, the client who's coming to you and me, for them, Reiki healing or whatever modality that you're practicing is not the first option. The first option is something else, and they've not got it. Second, they would have tried something else, not got it. Third, this modality, the energy healing part of it, is probably the fourth or the fifth modality they are trying out.
Yeah. So, Rajesh, the big question, do you, what is God for you? Do you believe in God, or what's that concept for you?
Like for me, like I told you, the 9-year-old experience, that was God for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, there is no answer to that particular experience, what it was. And
Yeah.
frankly speaking, the adults forgot about it. Okay, it was just a few, and then after it was all business as usual. Okay,
Mm.
but it's only that
Mm.
because I was a child, I just stored it in my memory, right? So I feel as a to really experience God, this higher energy, the universe. I think we sort of, I feel we need to find the inner child and look at it
Mm.
with the child's eyes rather than the adult's eyes. But for me, the greatest support that I am currently getting is from Goddess Kamakya in Guwahati. For the last, I think 2018 onwards, yeah, 6 years now. I've been a regular visitor there, and I go there twice a year for about 10 days in total, and I'm just present in that energy, you know. And that's something I found where, see, when you go as a spiritual traveler, right, what happens? Typically, somebody goes to the temple, have darshan, out, and let me get out fast. But that's probably just 0.5% of the whole thing. If you were to stay in the energy field, especially the old temples, old places of worship, if you stay in the energy field, if you're present to that energy field, okay, you don't even have to meditate, I'm telling you. Just be present. Just be present. You will experience it in ways that you cannot imagine.
Oh. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the divine feminine? Anything specific that you felt there, or what
Yeah,
drove you to
like
that?
yeah. So I find that I find prayers being answered over there. Really, truly. Like people have a prayer, you can expect that prayer to be answered. But whenever I'm approaching it, I'm actually just approaching it from a space of gratitude. Because when I'm
Mm.
going there, I don't really have anything to ask for. For years I've asked, like a beggar, you beg, and but somehow I think just by thanking, you are getting more. By staying in a state of
Mm.
gratitude.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, in all, if you have been in the manifestation, arena, and how they talk about how you manifest, one of the biggest things they talk about is if you want something, first is, of course, being in that gratitude energy. But of course, we also know how hard it is, right? When you're really complaining. But I want you to tell us a little bit about the surrender mode, of actually, wanting something. Of course, if you're in the gratitude mode, you've already surrendered. But can you tell me a little bit about maybe your own experience or how you've dealt with clients and how, this whole process of surrendering happens? Because I feel like it's really difficult to deal with, especially when clients, are involved and they really want something. And, you have the responsibility. And of course, you are the Zaria, right? So you are kind of the uh, means to an end. It's the universe or God who is doing the healing process. But just generally, how you've dealt with people or what your own experience has been in this.
So what has really helped me with this is like they always give the example of the Swiggy delivery guy, right? So we have this in India, especially Swiggy, which is such an important food aggregator. Uh, I look at my job as a Swiggy delivery guy. I'm the delivery guy. And I look at it from the perspective of if I was very passionate about my work, how would I be? What does the delivery guy do? He has to take care of his vehicle because that is two-wheeler, which needs to transport. He needs to be on time. He needs to be present, and he needs to ensure that that food is delivered in the most reasonable time possible to the client. So, what is my vehicle? My vehicle is not any two-wheeler or four-wheeler or whatever. My vehicle is my body. So I take care of my body. Okay. By lots of Reiki, lots of massages, lots of uh, whatever is required. So and then what I do is I don't have any illusion about what I'm delivering to the client. In the sense that I know I haven't cooked that meal. I wasn't involved in curating that cuisine or sourcing that thing. My job is I got the completed thing and I is to give it. And that's what as a Reiki practitioner we do, right? Because we are just like the one great thing I learned in my I have a great Reiki teacher. Her name is Ashmita Goel. And what she taught me when I was learning my level 1, I never forget. She said, look at a tailor. If a tailor is stitching collars, his forte is collars, okay, and in a day he's stitching some 200 collars, okay. Now does he stand over there, look around at people walking, that collar I only stitched. Oh, I'm great. Even that collar, see, he's not bothered. He just does his damn job and he moves on. And she said that is the best attitude you can have as a Reiki practitioner. Because there, what happened? There's no ego. Oh, I did it, and people come say, "Oh, you are amazing. You're fantastic." I think, yeah, man. Would I say you're amazing, fantastic to the delivery guy? Maybe I would. I would give him a 5-star rating. I would even tip that person, say thank you. Uh, but that's about it, right? So I found when I do that, then it is so easy to manage the client's expectations.
Right.
And because I do know the moment I take it on myself, which is so wrong in the work that I'm doing, then I will find a lot of these expectations weighing me down. Here I am very clear upfront. I'm saying if Reiki can help you or not, and they see me as the representative. I say, oh, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. And my man say, yeah, thank you to Reiki. Thank you to Reiki. Thank you. I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So that has
Wow.
helped. That mental switch.
I think it seems like you're very sorted in the way that, the process goes and you're very aligned with it, right? But what I have seen over the last, and I mean, I've gone through it myself, feeling the burnout and feeling the weight of, sometimes people's expectations, especially when people, like you said, they probably are coming to us after the fifth or sixth option. They're already very stressed and, and you want to help. So is there a protocol, Rajesh, that you want to tell everyone to follow, the healers out there, or generally people as well, to keep themselves protected or to not get burnt out, basically, a simple way to do that.
No, so thank you for saying all these nice things over to me. But it only happened through this journey of 12 years. And for whatever reason, I never pursued it professionally earlier. So it's possible that if I had pursued it professionally earlier, I would have had a lot of varied experiences myself in that area.
Right.
Uh, Burnout is huge. I suffered a burnout in the theater last year because I'd been doing theater for 31 years, and all the mistakes that we were talking about, which I have actually done it in the theater. I've
Mm.
taken on the onus on myself. So all of that, as an artist, I have done it. I have over delivered. I have not charged. People have not valued it. So it just, and it created a massive burnout last year. That's when I got into healing fully. And I found my healing skyrocketing. What do you do to prevent burnout? You take great care of yourself. You come first, no matter what. Let us say there is a session. There is a session that's going to happen, and if you are not uh, in your in your elements, if you are running low of energy, so far it has not happened because I pace it well. But if I find myself in that space, I will not take that session. I will not take that session, or I will, maybe I will do an additional Reiki healing for myself before the session, or basically I will ensure that I'm refueled. Okay. One thing I've found this year when I started having a weekly body massage, I have found that tremendously helpful. See, we are taking on energy whether we like it or not. How do we expect from the body? You can have a rituals, you can have all of that, but something a physical kind of cleansing is necessary. And for me, I find massages very useful. Okay, and having one every week has really opened up my capacity. To say, okay, I can take on more, I can do this much more. Just this aspect of it. So identifying a self-care routine that works. So
Right.
go back to oneself. Go back to oneself. Hey, what do you like? What do you like? Like for example, during the pandemic, I was so distressed myself at so many points. And what gave me a lot of energy and excitement was watching videos, vlogs of Indian railways, trains. Okay, just that. Okay, and just watching that gave me so much of calmness, and I just felt so good. And then I remembered I've always loved trains. And then I asked myself, when is the last time I went on a train? It was more than 12 years ago. So then what I did was I've been at least on close to 18 to 20 train rides since 21 now. Every year I go on at least 3 or 4 train journeys. It could be shorts, long, doesn't matter. Because there's a part of me that loves that. I say, yeah, let me do it.
Yeah. And how did you connect with that, Rajesh? Like, because, I feel like a lot of people are so disconnected from their bodies, not just like, going through issues, but generally to be able to, go through those layers and actually be able to figure that out is a big deal. So is that the body work, the self-care that you're doing, and that resulted in that? Okay.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely. Because
Mm.
today, if you look, who is there living in their bodies? Everybody is looking at distracting themselves. It's just, either you're on the, I mean, me included, right? On the cell phone or Netflix or or some kind. We are constantly. So that's when we sort of look at it and say, hey, wait, what am I running away from? And how can I dial down? How can I slow down?
So do you feel constant stimulation is one reason of running away? I mean, are we running away from, who we really are or what's going on inside?
No, definitely. We are
Mm.
so addicted to the dopamine hits. No, pack, pack, pack. It's all fast food. It's like I
Yeah.
want this. I want this now. I can't wait for something. But life doesn't work that way. Life is about its own
Yeah.
course.
And have you seen how clients also who come to us are also that way? They want instant results.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's difficult to explain how the process goes, and they become
Yeah,
very impatient, and they're just
yeah.
like, 2 दिन हो गए, 2 weeks हो गया, but they don't think about the time it took to, for those issues to actually accumulate and become big, right? Um, there's one question I wrote earlier, from one of the things you said earlier about faith. Uh, what happens when you really hit low? Is that, do you still have that faith at that moment? Does faith help you come up, or like how do you deal with it when you're really low? Or it doesn't happen because of the faith is high and you believe that,
No,
I
anything
mean, I
can
will not
happen, right?
hit.
No, no, you're right. Any incident can happen which can knock one off their feet, right? No matter how connected, how centered, and that's how life operates. I think can't give a straightforward answer to that, but I just hope that one's practice can help at that point of time. You know,
Mm,
that
mm.
one can see something in a larger perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even with me, I mean, like you said, there are so many modalities, right? But sometimes when a low point hits, a person feels very shattered. But at the same time, now, like if I look back at various setbacks, I feel like every time I'm at another level. I'm not just very low, I'm always at some other level, and it takes less time to get up, probably. So,
No, what you
yeah.
said is spot on. That's what happens, right? Because you generally tend to vibrate at a higher frequency, and even when
Yeah,
something
yeah.
happens, yeah, it's like it's never like this.
Yeah, yeah,
It's at least, and you can
yeah.
rise up.
Which at that moment it looks like it's the end of the world, but
Yeah.
probably like when you look back, then it's not. Yeah. And then, Rajesh, a very important question around burnout when you said like earlier when you were in theater, you didn't even charge people. So I want to know your journey from not charging to now probably, charging an amount that you feel, you deserve, or deserve in the sense like the kind of time and energy exchange that you want. How was that? How easy or difficult was it? And why is it important for healers to be open and, okay with charging?
So what happened was, luckily in Reiki there was there's a structure, and the fundamental thing as far as Reiki is concerned is don't you have to charge something, and you have to charge something that pinches. Okay, so whenever I've done Reiki, I've done that. So as far as my Reiki part is concerned, it's spotless. I'm very clear. But with theater, it did not happen that way. Theater happened much earlier, and in theater there was a lot of give, and a lot more give happened, and people got used to, this guy is giving, so let's take, right? Uh, so whereas in Reiki, it was respected. The give and take was respected. In a theater, that is not the case. So, which is why it hit me so badly. And when I saw that, I just told myself I should just employ what I'm doing in Reiki over here. Why am I leading this dual kind of a life? What is the purpose? At the end of the day, whether I'm doing Reiki or theater, whatever, I'm fundamentally doing it for myself, my soul, right? So that's what's happened of late. Yeah.
Hmm.
But
And then
yeah,
Rajesh, yeah. No, no, go ahead.
yeah, but that the payment now I am very clear. So my lowest thing is 750 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that the Reiki candle basic healing is 750 bucks, and people tell me, why are you charging so such a low amount, such thing? And I just feel for some time I have to do this. Okay,
Mm.
but at a certain point of time, I know I will not feel okay with it. I will up that price. But for
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
reason now, I just feel that it should be this way for now.
Mm-hmm. And this is a question that just popped up in my head right now. In terms of intuition, Rajesh, have you, of course, we've all developed it over time, whether a person is healing or not. But I want to ask you, do you really rely on your intuition a lot, or how does it work?
Intuition is everything. Intuition is my GPS, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
in my art, in my theater, and in my healing. I developed my intuition in this form of theater called playback theater. So in
Mm.
playback theater, typically a set of, if you're part of the audience, there's a set of actors. You share a real life incident that happened to you, and you choose actors to play different parts of that story,
Oh.
and they enact it back to you. So what happens is you see it from a very holistic perspective now. Earlier, if you were
Mm.
seeing a story only from the face front, oh, this happened to me. Now you have the freedom, the luxury, the relaxed ability to see it from a 360-degree perspective. So, oh, this is what the story is all about. This is what it's. This is the learning. This, sort of thing. And that performance happens because of intuition. And I develop intuition in the theater. You know, and it is so amazing. And now in my healing, intuition again plays a key role. Like I may go with something, okay, maybe I should do this time with this client, but I see the client, and then suddenly a third thing emerges, and that third thing is far more beautiful than this person or I can even imagine.
Have you ever trusted your intuition and let go of a so-called opportunity, or something that was coming that was very shiny in your life, and then you regretted it probably, but later on you realize it was for your higher good?
Lots of times, lots of examples, but
Mm.
I've just trusted my intuition. Like when I took so I was in a corporate career earlier, from 95 to 90 to 99. And
Mm-hmm.
in 2000, when I said, no, I'm going to do theater full time, that's when a very juicy corporate offer came my way. Okay, offering me a phenomenal amount of money at that point of time, and a lot of freedom. And I just looked at it and I said, no, this is a carrot. Yeah, it's just coming to take me away from this journey. So I just want to chuck it. Of course, it still was a great opportunity. But
Mm-hmm.
what I did with my life was far more greater than any corporate job could give me.
Wow. Mm. So that was a jump for you.
Yeah.
Um, so, Rajesh, tell me, how do you stay uh, unattached? I think we've already spoken a little bit about it. Unattached to the results, that you are working on. So again, I understand how you work, and operate around clients, but like for Rajesh as a person, what you want, right, and what your goals are. So how do you remain unattached to the outcome, so to say?
I don't think, to be very frank, I don't think I'm unattached with the results. Okay, so
Oh, okay.
when a client is signing up, I'm like, okay, man, I have to make this work for this person. This person suffered enough. Like, let's move on, kind of a thing.
Mm,
Uh, and that has helped. I don't know if I were unattached, if it would help me even more. But the way I am designed, see, I've already given all the disclaimers to people. I've already told them Reiki will work differently, blah 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 blah. So typically I found it work big time. Okay, in the rare eventuality when it doesn't work, let's say
mm-hmm.
the client is panicking and oh no, because sometimes what happens in some modality, some issues, there's a spike in the condition. So when
Mm,
Reiki starts given, there's a spike, and some people can get freaked out and say, "Oh my, stop everything." Okay, so when that happens, it has happened very rarely. When that happens, it's very disheartening
mm.
because I know that this client can be helped, but then I just respect the autonomy of the client. But I'm
Yeah.
very invested. Unfortunately, I'm too invested in their journey. Yeah.
Actually, I was trying to connect it with the no ego comment that you made earlier about, the callers and all. And so being unattached in that sense, like, not really caring about, well, not caring in that sense, but, not being attached. So is, I mean, does
Yeah,
that
that helps.
connection make sense?
Yeah, no, that helps a lot. No, that just makes life so simple and easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've seen how in organizations, when people are starting their own organization, has so much of potential, and after a point, it becomes all about the founder. And then what
Yeah.
happens is this thing has actually shrunk. This organization has shrunk. It should be breathing, living entity, going far beyond what this founder had imagined. But because of this founder's, what do you say, approach and limitations, it becomes that. That can also happen with healing.
Mm.
So when I'm practicing this rigorously, the work just expands.
Mm. Interesting. Um, Rajesh, do you just going to the next segment? Do you believe in bad luck? Do you believe in being addicted to drama? Or do you feel like even sometimes healing cannot break through certain patterns in people's lives? Or, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. Healing is actually a 50-50 approach. It's not just about the healer doing everything possible, or therapist doing everything. The client has to walk the talk, right? I know some. I know people who I feel I give this term the leaking bucket, right? And my question is your bucket leaking? Okay, because we can have the most amazing healing, we can have the most amazing sessions, but if the client does not do their part of the deal, then it's always going to be a leaking bucket. Then the
Interesting.
results are going to be very temporary.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be patterns and thought processes. It could be like, for example, somebody says, you know what, I have a migraine, I need to have a tablet, and then tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'll be fine. Now, this is a story.
Mm.
Now we have to de-story, remove the power from that story. And I tell that person, what if I were able to remove your migraine in 30 seconds, less than a minute, without any tablet? And through Reiki, you can do that.
Mm.
And when you do that, they're like shaken because people are so attached to the stories.
Right.
If I have that, I'll get a cold. Nice story.
Yes.
So this is never going to leave me. Excellent story.
Yeah. And how vehement we are, right, with those beliefs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Why? Who said that? Who said that? Oh, this is a classical case of depression. This has to be dealt with this way only. It'll take this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
see, these labels hurt.
Mm-hmm.
A client doesn't need to know that he has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. You know. So because sometimes client come, I have this, these labels. Is that helping you? No, it's not. It's just making you a prisoner of that thought process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You feel they feel comfortable in that, in those labels because they've heard it so many times because everybody has validated it for them.
Yeah, and like you said, there's an addiction to that condition.
Mm.
I have to tell you about my problems, only then will you acknowledge me. You see what a tough life I had.
Mm-hmm.
So it's at the core, so there's a lot of unwinding and a lot of self-love recovered first. And a lot of looking back and saying, oh my, this is not helping me, this is not serving me. See, some of these label stories may have served at some point. It's just like a cast, right? When you're 6 year old, you broke a bone, you have that cast. Now you're 30, 35, you still have that cast.
Yeah.
It served an earlier self. Move on.
Mm. Yeah. That's very strong message. And sometimes I think all of us, we hear that and we all have our patterns that we keep going back to. And it takes sometimes maybe just an honest conversation to break it, as simple as that. So I feel like maybe, this can really hit hard for people, who are kind of in that loop. Yeah. Um, okay. So now, Rajesh, why don't you tell us a little bit about your just yourself, what motivates you, what's you told us a little bit about trains already, your love for trains, but other things you love, you admire apart from, healing that keeps you going, something that you really, things you
I
like.
love non-vegetarian food. I don't think I'll ever
Yes.
give up on it. Even if at some
Oh
point they
yeah,
say,
there is this whole notion. Yeah.
no, somebody says, your Reiki practice will become 10x. I don't think I'm going to give up on mutton biryani.
Yeah.
I'm like, accept me the way I am. All this
Yeah.
this notion of this, that. I mean, please
Yeah.
give people a break. Let them be themselves. So I'm a
Yeah.
big foodie that way. Travel is something I look forward to. I like very curated experiences more than going to multiple places, but going deeper into a particular experience. Writing, writing has always been a thing. I had a mental block to do with reading for more than 10 years. Okay, reading. I would buy books and would all lie at home, brand new books. And I've been a reader all my life, wondering why can't I read? And then I was against all this electronic media like the Kindle and all of that. And once a friend was sitting next to me on a flight and reading a Kindle, and I said, "Show me." And then I realized, this can help you a lot. And so, therefore, thanks to the Kindle, and I'm at least reading a few books a year. Uh, like I read 7 books, which was a huge achievement for me from zero reading for a decade. Yeah. So reading is
Wow.
another thing. Yeah. Uh, Train journeys. Oh, train journeys. I can't tell you the nostalgia, the feeling, the excitement, the thing about train journeys. Uh, about all kinds of train journeys, whether it's on the in the general compartment or the air conditioned coach or whatever, the sleeper, whatever. I really love that. Yeah, these somewhere I feel I need to learn a musical instrument. Haven't figured out yet what. Maybe when I'm 60 or something, I learn an instrument. Yeah.
Interesting.
But one,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
one thing I wanted to share was even Reiki, this whole part, right? There was a lot of shame associated with it for years.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would I would not
yeah.
talk about it so openly. You know,
Mm,
I would only talk in safe spaces.
yeah,
And I think because I always felt, what if I'm judged? I come from a family where everybody is so bloody logical. They're all Western medicine and all those approaches, and something like this does not exist. So it
yeah.
is only last year that I just told myself, I'm going to claim this space fully, this identity fully. Only then will it grow.
That's bang on, yeah. There's so much shame, there's so much, I think, seclusion, and I guess people feel that they will be not just judged, but people will be cruel, so they try to hide, basically, right? And this identity comes out, which is such a beautiful identity, like you said, in safe spaces. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, and I think I want to end this show talking about miracles and talking about different client experiences, if you want to share, that you really thought were transformational, and that will probably inspire people as well. So any couple of stories, or more than that, that you want to share with us, because I want there to be hope. Yeah.
There's so many experiences, so many things that are happening. Every single session is a huge thing, and what is happening is, so when they WhatsApp me or they call me and they tell me, this happened, I am like celebrating with them because I am like, it's not like, I told you this will happen. I don't feel that way. I feel like, oh wow, is it? Yes, oh, I'm so happy for you. So I become the biggest cheerleader in that sense.
Wow.
Like there's one client who's been suffering from anxiety and depression for nearly 35 years. Okay. And 3 days of Reiki candle healing. 3 days. where I would have lit maybe a dozen or more candles. And her daughter's saying, I can see a shift in my mother already. I can see that she's looking upbeat, and this is huge. I've not seen her looking at something with interest in years now. So that is like, wow. So that is beyond me. That I am a puny human being when I see that experience. So I just say that thank you, Reiki. Thank you so much. Thank you for trusting me to be this medium, this human medium, and to work this magic. And one thing I want to tell you. So when I started healing, right, when I started my journey professionally, one sentence kept ringing in my head. It just and very strongly, and that sentence was, "Suffering is optional." And when I heard it the first time, I was like, oh my God, somebody will get triggered by this. Somebody is going through a debilitating disease will look at it and say, how you don't even know my story. How dare you put this? How dare you say something? And I felt very scared to put it out anywhere. And the more I dwelt on it, the more I thought about it, the more I allowed myself to get over the initial shock of that statement, I realized it is true. Suffering is optional. It really is.
Wow.
Mm.
And I mean, now that you've said this, so do you feel that there can be physical pain, right, that a person is going through, but that doesn't mean that the person has to suffer. Is that what you're saying? That's a mental thing?
Every illness has an emotional basis. The origin is this is a story, it's an emotion, it's something that's unresolved, something that is unexpressed. Everything. Okay.
Mm.
And when we are able to, the right modality, the right healer, the right system, the right process, when that is applied on that story, on that thing, then you can see a transformation in the symptoms. How many people are coming out? Let's say cancer. How many people are miraculous cases?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I do remember we were doing a playback theater performance years ago for in a home for cancer patients. Okay, this is for terminally ill. We're spending the last days, and one woman shared a personal story about a story of how a real life incident of how she about her childhood, and she was in a very dire state at that point. She shared that story. We performed it back. That story gave us so impetus. It gave us life in her eyes. She was cured of cancer. We discovered later from the newspaper.
Wow.
What happened was because it was a turning point for her.
Yeah.
So for her, the performance was everything. The performance became a healing space.
Mm. So there can be a turning point for anyone and everyone, right?
Yeah, see,
If they
a lot of
want
things,
to.
if they want, yeah, if they
Yeah.
want to, and provided they are in touch with the right modality for themselves. Because people lose hope. I've tried
Yes.
this, I give up. I'm saying don't give
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Wow. That was wonderful. Don't give
Yeah,
up,
same.
people. And thank you so much, Rajesh. Is there anything else, any parting thoughts that you have that you want to share with
Nothing.
everyone?
No, it's really nice what you're doing.
Mm.
Getting different people from different modalities onto this kind of forum, because then what will happen is a lot of lay people can see, can decide, can know a different narrative. Today, if
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
to go to Wikipedia or Google or any of these spaces, and you're looking for information about healing and all of that, you are served with misinformation. You
Yes.
are served with
Mm-hmm.
so much. I want to tell people that there is a life beyond conventional medication. There is a life beyond conventional thing. See, Reiki does not say give up your thing. Okay, Reiki says
Yeah.
continue with what
In
you're doing.
tandem.
Reiki will work in tandem, right? But like I don't have a single pill at home, and my home was like a clinic before Reiki. Like my mother would have
Yeah.
a lot of tablets, and after the age of 62, Reiki just changed. She's 74 now, you know,
Wow.
and she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to take a single tablet for anything, any issues, Reiki. You know. So we have such a fantastic modality. Why worry? And then, of course,
Yeah.
this is just Reiki is just one aspect. There are so many modalities. There's a
Yeah.
universe of modalities. So,
Yeah. And sometimes, Rajesh, I feel like maybe after a healing session or, a Reiki session, people actually get the right doctor or, the right
yes,
diagnosis or something
yes,
of that sort as
yes,
well.
yes,
So it's
yes.
all, I feel like, it leads to something. Yeah.
No, true. Because what it does is it
Hmm.
creates the perfect ecosystem, right? Like, for example, recently, one of my clients who's suffering from depression, taking tablets from a psychiatrist. After the Reiki healing started, psychiatrist has changed the medication, and that has helped her.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Reiki propels that. It creates that.
Process. Yeah. And so just to end, so do you feel like seeking a healer or an energy worker is kind of a fundamental human need now? I mean, and there is a dearth, of information, like you said.
So definitely, see again, it depends on the person. So I have a very good friend who says, for me, clinical counseling works perfectly, and that's amazing,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
To each their own, right? Whatever modality is working, right? So, but there is definitely the need of the hour is healing, especially in a post-COVID world. There is
yeah.
so much of support that is required.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like reality is hitting people hard in more ways
Yeah,
than one. You can see
yeah.
that in the schools. So I have a theatre and education program for part of the theatre in schools in Bangalore, and I can see it in school children. When I work with college students, I can see it over there. When I go to corporate, I see, oh my God, the damn thing is here also. You know, it's only in varying degrees, so it is present everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, such an informational show, Rajesh, and thank you so much for coming. And I will put all your information. And I think you have an Instagram, right? An active Instagram account.
I'm actually
And
mostly active on Instagram.
yeah, and maybe your email, whatever you want to share, down, in the notes for people to get in touch if they'd like to. And yeah, and maybe you'll come again, you'll keep coming again on the show and talk about something else. Yeah. So thank you so much, Rajesh. Yeah, hope to see you
Absolutely.
again. And I hope people learned a lot and, I hope they come up with questions. Yeah.
No, thanks, Anisha. You've been a perfect host. I really like the ease with which you conducted it. I didn't have to break my head. I'm like, wow, you spoke about all of this, and that's primarily because of the way you were questioning it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajesh. Bye.
Bye.